Hey there, Internet! Welcome to Underground Lucha Things, the Lucha Underground Retrospective, where somebody who has had several experiences with many of these cast members, goes through and watches these episodes one by one because I've never seen Lucha Underground. But you know what? Someone has, and they are joining me coming in from the Isle of Hawaii. It's my wonderful friend, the one, the only Angie FN of Midcard Mana. Angie, welcome.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much again for having me on this lucha journey.
Oh, I love having you on this lucha journey, especially because, like I said, there's just so much stuff. Like, I wish I'd have known this. I see why everybody was hyping this up to me. It was one of those situations, everybody's talking about it, and it's like, sure, sure, sure. I mean, it can't be that great, and I'm not gonna buy an entirely new cable package just to watch a wrestling show. I totally would have bought an entirely new cable package to watch this wrestling show. Wow, it's just amazing me so far. And yeah, spoiler alert, I'm really enjoying what I see so far. But this is episode 29. That's right. We've gone 29 episodes deep in this so far. And this is Fight to the Death from May 27th, 2015. And we start with your favorite, Black Lotus, making her way to the temple, but she is stopped by Chavo, who reveals that she needs to get revenge the right way, publicly in front of the world, in the center of the ring. He also says that his grandfather was there when her parents were killed, and the Guerreros hate the Cuetos just as much. So, like, did Gory Guerrero live a lot longer after this? Like, I don't know if they've mentioned when her parents died, but clearly, if this is like canon, sometime before 1990, so she has held a grudge for damn near 30 years about this whole situation. And Chavo has done nothing about it since then. Like, mid 90s, he was working in WCW. I mean, he could have been trying to get revenge against the Cuetos as well. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe he was going for the long con, man. Wanted to build up his success elsewhere before he finally, went for the showdown with the final boss, Dario Cueto.
Apparently so. But we start off the show with Aerostar facing off against Johnny Mundo, and they keep bringing up Star kept his job while Drago was banished, and which I kind of find hilarious. And it's like he's working. Johnny Mundo helps debut Jack Evans. I mean, Aerostar's getting some solid work in while Drago has no work. So yeah,
Yeah, no, that was my big note for that match is come on. It's just like never before has losing felt like such a reward. It's just, Drago wins the best of five and everybody's so happy. He proves that he got the one up on Aerostar. Both these very, move for move, pound for pound, very talented luchadors. And Drago gets this unique opportunity, right? And everyone's so happy. You either get the title or you get bent. And he did not get the title and got bent instead. And then Aerostar's there just going on life as usual. So it's just, yeah, that stipulation always, and I feel bad for saying this, always cracked me up because that was always one where it's like, wow, really you would have preferred to be the loser in that case.
yeah, apparently so. Uh, I will say that Johnny Mundo starts this off with some incredibly flashy technical wrestling, which is hard to do. Like the stuff he's doing is real basic kind of groundwork grappling, but he makes it look so good, which is great. And I love, speaking of flashy, I love Aerostar's red and blue gear here as well. His almost Spider-Man-ish kind of look here. Mundo
Oh
is
yeah, Aerostar always looks great. Like, if there's nothing else you can say about Aerostar, and there's tons you can say about Aerostar, he's a very talented performer. But if nothing else, you can just look at his ring gear and how he's always introduced as being, from the cosmos. Like, just those little things that will make you stand out in a sea of luchadors, because a lot of people can't tell one mask from the other. So I appreciate that as somebody that tries very hard to study masks so I can tell one mask from the other. I appreciate that sort of desire or effort, I guess you could say, because I know a lot of people don't put in that same amount.
For sure. And let me also throw in that Mundo is being very aggressive against Aerostar, who is getting a respectable level of offense against him. It's not enough, though, because Mundo wins with the end of the world, but again, I don't think this match was that long. If this match was 10 minutes, I would be shocked. But it felt substantial. It was like a nice, healthy dose of action here. And that's, again, like, I guess Vampiro's booking. I want to know who agents these matches. Like, I want to know more about the production of Lucha Underground. Once I finish season 1, I'm actually going to start looking for people from the show to interview, because I am very curious about how this was put together, because this is very well put together.
Yes, definitely. And it goes back to what you and what I've been saying all along, you know, the production quality, and I think the production style is very different in that how they have laid out this show is not the same as how you see wrestling shows run by the WWE or Impact or AEW if we're talking current product, or even if you just go watch a wrestling show live. You know, how they have things put together is very different, a lot closer to like how you also keep bringing up a telenovela, which keeps different, I think, demographics hooked no matter what. So they're very, very smart about how they plan out and lay out and produce these shows so that different fans of wrestling, whether you are a fan of the high-flying style, the technical style, or if you're a fan of the storytelling because you don't understand necessarily what's going on in the ring and why they're doing it, if you're a fan of just even watching flashy fights, you know, they have those little hooks for every person. And how they choose to emphasize and build up these characters through not only ring work and interviews, but little vignettes is just really, really well put together and well done. It makes you care.
Because the hook brings you back. I ain't telling you no lies. And the hook. All right, I'm done. before we get copywritten. But yeah, no, you're absolutely.
It's 26 seconds. Yeah.
Is it 26 seconds?
It was 15. When I was in school. Oh, maybe it's different. It was 26 seconds for use in a live production, but I guess this is videotaped, so.
Yeah, it's like I don't mess with it. But we get Vampiro doing another interview once again. This time with Sexy Star. And he's asking the questions in English. Sexy Star is answering in Spanish, which is interesting because I know Vampiro speaks Spanish, or at least I think he speaks Spanish. I feel like he's interviewed somebody in Spanish before, but it's quite ironic because she is criticizing Penta for wanting to snap people's arms or break people's arms. It's like during that whole thing, I'm like, ugh. Oh, Sexy! If you only knew.
Right. Ooh, this didn't age well. Yeah.
Did not. But she also does say that Superfly is healing up, and she hasn't talked to him while he's rehabbing. She hasn't talked to him since she made him lose the mask. Talks about being a success if she even inspires one girl. And you know what? That means you were a success, Sexy, because Angie is inspired by you every episode you show up.
It's true. It's true. I definitely, especially when I was watching this for the first time, Evilise and Sexy Star, like I keep saying, two sides of the same coin. Both, badass in their own right. Ivelisse is a heel, Sexy Star is a face. Definitely take no prisoners, take no bullshit kind of girls. So I always appreciated both of them because that's kind of always the role I've had in my life. Not to get too far into, I guess, how things might be different here in Hawaii, but there was never a time where I felt like I couldn't do something because I'm a girl. And I'm very fortunate in that, I think. And definitely I relate to how Sexy Star and Ivelisse play in the boys' world, as they kind of frame it, because they are two of the only women in Lucha Underground.
Right, and they do reveal that she will have a rematch against Pentagon, and this will be a submission match. Oh, which we don't know if she has a submission, but we do know Pentagon has one, and he's been using it on people. So we'll see how that goes. But next up, the second match, the middle of the card tonight, is the Lucha Underground Championship, which is Prince Puma taking on Herandez. And again, I was surprised to see that it was the second match on the card. But considering the main event's a death match, I get it. It's nice to see Herandez just be an unambiguous heel here. Like, he is definitely a bad guy. And Puma gets to be a little flashy as well, showing his athleticism in the environment. And Herandez has a clear strength advantage. Prince Puma narrowly escapes defeat. A little jaw-jacking with Conan gives Prince Puma an opportunity to fight dirty himself, which it's not fighting dirty because it's well, I know it is fighting dirty in this match. My bad. But Herandez dives to the outside and Puma just whacks him with a chair. But because the ref is jaw-jacking with Conan as well, the ref just misses that. Even though when the ref turns back around, there's clearly a chair lying next to Herandez holding his head. But these refs don't go by the rule of Eddie Guerrero, apparently.
I was going to say, you never know because somebody might be pulling an Eddie. It's hard to tell unless you see it with your own eyes, right? I would totally do that in a match where I would throw a chair at my opponent and then pretend like they hit me with it 100%. So yeah, I get it. I was going to say, it's definitely very interesting seeing this different side of Puma because as somebody that has, I guess, sort of bristled against that playing dirty type at every other opportunity, his finally kind of caving into Conan sort of being like, come on, kid, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this to retain. It's not bad. You just got to do what you got to do. And seeing those two different frames of mind, especially with how this storyline's been playing out, very, very cool. And I keep saying this too. Props to I was going to say Ricochet, Prince Puma in this, but props to him for really showing so much emotion and so much character without saying a word. He hasn't spoken at all at this juncture in Lucha Underground. He's done a lot of physical acting and non-verbal communication and acting a lot with his eyes, which I have come to really appreciate upon this rewatch. And it's definitely very difficult when you can't use your words. You have to figure out other ways to communicate who you are and what you stand for. And I think he's been doing a really good job at that.
Yeah, and speaking of speaking of some interesting things, the referee is not counting at all. The fight continues on the outside. They're fighting everywhere. The ref doesn't even begin counting for the competitors. And this is a regular match. This isn't the death match. This isn't a false count anywhere. It's just the crowd, though, deems all of this awesome. But Herandez continues to Herandez continues to fight on, and Herandez actually looks like he's gonna get the win when he avoids a 630 and hits that torture rack drop on Puma. But Puma lives, and we see moves never really pulled out before. We see some axe kicks to the back of the head from Prince Puma to Herandez, pulling pulling a Mako Satomura there. Are you eating off screen?
No, I just had to sneeze. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was like, did I interrupt your lunch? But
No, I would just eat on screen. That's kind of unprofessional person I am.
gotcha. Oh, speaking of that, a small tangent. I found something at a dollar store today. Microwave pork rinds. It's like a bag of popcorn of pork rinds that you could apparently microwave. Should that be the bonus at the end of the show? Should I grab them and let everybody know how they are?
Yes, absolutely, actually. Because that sounds absolutely horrendous.
It sounds awful. Like that's what I got them. Like up there with Alex and Alex was like, that sounds horrifying. I'm like, this sounds terrible. I'm like, I am looking forward to how terrible this probably is. But you know what? We have two matches. We have a match and a half to get through here, so let's do that first. Really loving the use of the crane camera there, and Puma is able to hit Herandez with a pair of second rope super kicks before hitting the 630 to successfully defend his championship. This is by and far the best title match we've seen so far, and it really sold me on Herandez as well, which makes me think I kind of wish there'd have been a non-finish ending to this. I kind of wish Conan would have either caused a DQ or something. Wish we hadn't finalized a defeat against Herandez yet, because I think there was still more to be had from the chase.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt really soon to have this end, especially with how much buildup there was around this whole thing. So something, and besides me having watched Lucha Underground before, but I mean, even disregarding that, something tells me that there's still more that could come from this, perhaps.
I absolutely agree on that. I again, like I said, it really did a great job selling Herandez as well. But here we are, the main event. Fenix versus Mil Muertes. This is a death match. And Mil is accompanied by not only Katrina, but he has 3 of his Putty Patrol luchadors. Like I said, I don't know what the point of them is. I just call them the Putty Patrol because that's what they're reminding me of. And they say that he returned dark, intense, and evil, but wasn't he all of those things already? I thought that was Mil's whole shtick, was that he was dark, intense, and evil, and like the embodiment of death. But anyway, this is a death match. The only rule being the pin or submission must take place in the ring. And they bring back Mil strong. Like, they're giving Fenix very few chances to capitalize on the advantages that he does have. There's some very cool top rope super kick that he does, like running across the rope, and helps Fenix gain some momentum as he goes aerial against Mil. Environmental damage seems to be the key, as Phil only seems to be able to get a leg up when he's throwing Mil into like the surrounding wall or using that for elevation. Mil himself goes to the top rope to dive out onto Fenix. Mil just hauls Fenix to the top of the temple and, seemingly signaled by Katrina, power bombs him through the top part of the temple. And they cut the commercial break. We come back from break, and Fenix is still nowhere to be found. The Putty Patrol grabs Fenix from the room, and they carry him as subtly as a Zack Snyder, like Jesus Christ allegory, back to the ring. They have him like all crucified. Back to the ring, throw him in with Mil. Mil grabs Fenix, gives him like the most kind of deliberate setup we've seen so far to the best flatliner. Like, I've said this a lot of times. I wish there was something more to the flatliner. The way he presents it here, the entire flatliner segment here, makes it feel like a big move. It's one of the best finishes I've seen for him. And he gets the win on Fenix. And he brings in Katrina, who delivers the lick of death. Man, this was a match. Go, Angie.
Yeah. Okay. My note, and let me just pull it up really fast. My note that I had was Fenix versus Mil Muertes in a goddamn death match with goddamn Katrina back. What is happening? Did I miss something? I fell asleep and I missed something. Because just all of a sudden having this really I guess it didn't come out of nowhere per se, but just I have so many questions as to how they got back here. This is, of course, these two performers are insanely talented. I've always liked Muertes. I've always liked Fenix, and getting to watch them interact with each other, and especially with how much is invested in this story, they both do a really good job at making people care. It doesn't just seem like a match for match sake, even though it is kind of a match for match sake. You get that feeling of investment from both of these guys. And I think that's what makes this work, even though, like I said, I'm so confused as to how we ended up here. And their dedication to that, and even Katrina, who I was confused by her now being back on the side of Fenix, or back on the side of Mil Muertes instead of Fenix. There was so much going on that instead of being like, I don't understand this and turning it off, I was very much like I don't understand this. I need to watch more. You know what I mean? It's that difference, and it's a slight difference, but it's that difference that really hooks people rather than pushing them away. And they handled that very well, I felt. And overall, I thought this episode was a lot of fun. These were 2 of the 3 matches were unexpected. We expected that Puma and Herandez were gonna have a showdown. We didn't expect it to end the way it did, but it was a good show all around. Getting to see all of these guys, for lack of a better word, and to be ridiculously general, do what they do best. And I was actually probably the most intrigued by the matchup between Aerostar and Johnny Mundo, because that to me came out of that specific matchup between those 2 guys, to me came out of nowhere. We expected the other 2. We know Fenix and Muertes had a story to tell with one another. We know that Puma is going to be defending against Herandez, but Johnny Mundo and Aerostar, like, that match both delivered in a match way. Like, it was a spectacular match, but also made me feel more like I kind of want to see if they do this again, like what happens from here. As a person that does a lot of theater, I think a lot about character interaction, especially with Lucha Underground, but not just with Lucha Underground, with wrestling in general. And getting to see these 2 characters that I never considered together work together, definitely really cool.
Yeah, and speaking of really cool, we get a post-credits scene. Post-credits time. Dario Cueto is in a meeting with the crew, and he says that they must choose someone to pay for this embarrassment. And you see Cortez Castro and Mr. Cisco just look at each other, and they grab Bale, and they put him up against the wall of Matanza's cell to apparently be bludgeoned to death by Matanza. It happens off screen,
totally mauled.
But there is, like, I don't know what's happening. I think he's getting just like, I don't know if he has like a baseball bat or what, but there is some gratuitous blood splatter going on for
that's gotta be bare hands, man. It's gotta be bare hands.
Like literal bare hands, like BEAR, like grisly hands doing this, because there's just blood splatter going everywhere. Like, Dario's in the back of the room, the little blood gets on his face. And they say that they get the message, but this trios team, they can't win the trios titles now. What the hell are they supposed to do about that, Dario? You can't even like have them exact revenge. But wow, that was out of nowhere. Like I did not expect just straight up murder.
Yeah. And I have to say, I'm also glad this finally happened, because I've been wanting to talk about this shot for a while, because this is the shot that has stayed with me from the first time I watched Lucha Underground till now, coming up. And as soon as they had the 3 of them together, I'm like, oh, this is where it happens. The shot of just the blood going everywhere, and you see the hands on the bars. as they slowly but surely lose power. His blood's going everywhere until finally his just limp hands hanging from the bars. And you're just like, oh, he's dead. He got mauled to death by whatever is in this cage. Is it man? Is it beast? Is it a little bit of both? Who knows?
It's Man Bear Pig.
Yep.
But yeah, so that was a shock ending. I mean, wow, that was a way to go off. So I think we have officially reached the part where Lucha Underground goes into the completely ludicrous now, because I assume that Bale, who I think is B-Boy, is not dead. At least I've seen him since Lucha Underground, so hopefully he's not dead in real life, unless I wrestled a zombie, which would be kind of awesome. But yeah, that was an episode. But you know what? I'm
so stoked that finally happened.
Yeah, but apparently, because I mentioned this disgusting thing, speaking of disgusting things, let me go grab this for you, and yeah, by the time I snap my fingers, I'll be back with what's needed. Okay, so as you can see, this is low raise or maybe low raise pork rinds, microwavable pork rinds, and they're from the dollar store. You can see it's like very much in like a popcorn style bag, and this is original flavor. It says less than 1 gram total carb per serving, so I am very much interested in seeing how this plays out. So let me just do some movie magic here and have a bag somehow ready. And Angie, so you can see, because I know you can't quite.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
That looks truly awful.
Yeah, it says grab here to open, so let's open this. Okay, this is impressive. Admittedly, I am quite impressed because here are the pork rinds. It just legit looks like pork rinds. There's not much flavor to them, I'll be honest. But they don't suck. They're exactly what they're supposed to be.
What do they look like before you microwave them?
You know, I don't know. This was only $1, so honestly, I actually might go get some more of these. This is. I feel like Eric Garman's like, these are delicious. I was not expecting, but you see in the bag, super small. So for science, let's take a look. So, oh, straight up, word. So this is what they look like.
Oh.
They are literally like pieces of dried up pig skin.
Skin.
Like, literally, these are like pieces of skin, and they just pop and inflate to that. So that is really impressive. Let me see if I can get that so you can see. Doom, doom. Doom, doom. To each other.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So not a sponsor, but you know what? Low Raise bacon curls. You get my seal of approval. These bacon curls are. Yeah. Yeah, you don't suck. Good job. But anyway, Andy, let everybody know where they can find you.
All right. So I am part of 2 shows based out of Hawaii. The first one is Mid Card Mana. and that is with my tag team partner, Sam Kill of the Wrestling Connoisseur. And we do a little bit more wrestling themes, current events. I do unboxing videos, and I do a couple of videos when I'm at live shows. And then the other show I'm part of is Valley Out Collective's Ringside, a little bit on the goofier side, focuses more on the funnier things in wrestling. What's our favorite botch, or what botch do we think was the most interesting and influential, and why? And then I'm going to copy what Felix does, and I'm going to drop my my social media handle. So it is Fumiko Mega, which is my middle name combined with Omega, because I do love Kenny. Even though I love people besides Kenny, I also love Kenny. So that is my middle name, Fumiko, and then Mega. And that is on almost any social media that you can find.
And you can find me here, having pork rinds, apparently. If you're watching the video, I really should edit water. Oh, so much better. So yeah, you can find me here, youtube.com/FriscoFlame. Find me on Twitter and Instagram as Frisco Flame. Find me on Twitter as rfelixfinch. I'm actually more active there, oddly enough. You can find me anywhere you need. You can find me anywhere else you need to by looking up Underground Lucha Things. Go to Etsy, look up Frisco Flame. Go to friscoflame.com, get some of my shirts. And you know what? For Angie, for myself, for my bag of microwave chicharrones. Peace out, party peoples. I'll see you next time for more Underground Lucha Things.
Bye-bye.